Hi everyone, Dr. Samantha Cottrera here, and B, as you can see, she's going to stop the video, I think. Dr. Samantha Cottrera here for the Imagining a New We video series, a video blog designed to help history teachers and other history educators teach history in ways that are more meaningful, transformative, and inclusive for their students. September 30th is Orange Shirt Day, and you can see that I am wearing an orange shirt, a beautiful, gorgeous orange shirt, designed by the Ojibwe two-spirit artist Patrick Hunter, and that's who we're going to be talking about today. We're talking to today, not talking about, although I'm sure we'll be talking about him as well, but like with him. So be like, tell me about yourself. One of the things that I'm doing for this pandemic pedagogy series in the fall is not just talking to people about those 3 questions that I talked to people in the spring about. Do you think history, sorry, B. Do you think about history any differently because of the pandemic and Black Lives Matter and everything that's happened since March? Do you think we're going to teach history differently after this? And do you think we'll get a chance to imagine a new we after this moment too? I'm not just going to ask people about those questions related to history and history teaching. One of the elements of pandemic pedagogy that I am going to model is to broaden our conversations broader than what we kind of imagined a traditional like video series or like curriculum, for example, could look like, and broaden it in interdisciplinary ways with other conversations to bring in new elements of teaching and learning. So we're not just like doing what we've done before, but trying to do things differently and having new conversations with new types of people like artists like Patrick is part of that. So I'm really excited to talk to him today on Orange Shirt Day, September the 30th. So let's go over to Patrick and talk about this fantastic artwork and the significance of Orange Shirt Day. Patrick, thank you so much for agreeing to speak to me, especially to talk about Orange Shirt Day, September 30th. I know that you are based in Toronto, but are in Sault Ste. Marie right now. So thank you for finding the time. Before we begin, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Patrick Hunter. I'm from a little town in the bush called Red Lake, Ontario. You might have heard of it because it was almost burnt down, but everyone...
Almost, but not.
The town survived. Everyone's alive. And I'm an artist and graphic designer. I'm also First Nations. So the artwork that I do kind of comes from that cultural side of myself. And two-spirit, gay man, just trying to make it in the big old world, I guess.
In the big city. I feel like a bus is needed and some sort of like montage.
Yeah, you know, like Sesame City.
So we met in Toronto at an arts festival. I bought one of your prints that is also of feathers, and if anyone has seen any of the videos that I did doing an office tour, you know that it's above my desk. And so I've been a fan of your work for a while, and so it was so exciting to see that you have done the artwork for the orange shirt for like the Orange Shirt Day this year. Can you tell us about the shirt and about what this means to you, what Orange Shirt Day means to you as an artist, and how you wanted to represent that in the actual shirt, which is amazing.
Sure. There's so many different layers to this question.
I know, that was, I mean, it was like a multi-part question, so.
So you know, just to start off, I've always wanted to align myself and use my talents and gifts towards something really good, and I never really, there's a billion and one causes out there to try and, you know, use your superpowers for and Orange Shirt Day just seemed like a good fit. And so I had worked with Rogers on a different project before, and then they kind of set up a meeting between me and Phyllis Webstat, who is the originator, or like the, you know, the mind behind Orange Shirt Day. And just to give you guys some context on, you know, where it started and how it began. She was a young girl, and like most kids, just so excited to go to school. And, you know, unfortunately, the school that she was going to was going to be a residential school. She didn't really know as a child what that meant, so she bought this orange shirt and was so excited to go the next day. And then cut to her arrival at school, and it's for those of you who don't know, it's a boarding school situation where they they put you in uniform. So they took away her orange shirt and, you know, cut her hair, gave her the rundown on if you do anything culturally appropriate to your, you know, your background, you'll be punished in X, Y, and Z horrible way. So that's, you know, the beginning of it. And then I think she just found that a lot of people didn't know the story of residential schools, and, you know, that's kind of the fault of the Canadian education system. And I'm sure there are great teachers out there that have taught, you know, good classes on the subject, and I'm definitely one of them that was taught about it and had a great history teacher. So in this Orange Shirt Day campaign, I think what she wanted to do was just kind of reclaim, like, you didn't win, like the system didn't get me, like I'm taking this back and trying to at the same time educate more Canadians about what happened during that time. The Orange Shirt Day, like the antithesis of it is just to like regain your culture, to regain your sense of self, and hopefully in doing that, we're educating more Canadians on what happened. And Rogers has really taken it on in a big way. And you know, just to say it, like with the firing of Don Cherry, like when there's a clear line that was drawn, and then, you know, them sticking their neck out, or, you know, their corporate neck in some ways, with a campaign that's kind of, you know, it's not a sexy topic, it's a hard topic that they want to put their might behind and make sure that more Canadians know, like, what happened during residential schools, which is kind of amazing. And I'm the artist that got to do the artwork for it, which is I mean,
also amazing.
Yeah. I'm like, yes, I need to do, like, I want to do more stuff like this. And it's cool also to like be at the forefront of hopefully more social campaigns like this, but more corporates using, or, you know, tapping talent from, you know, young artists to work with and to amplify their work a lot more in a positive way.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that you've done. I know from your Instagram account, for example, that you've done a lot with gay and lesbian, bisexual, transgender community, like, and Two-Spirit community, like things related to young artists and entrepreneurs around that, which is really cool. And let's just put a pin in that for a second and take a couple steps back to like frame why we're talking about Rogers. No, to frame why we're talking about Rogers, because like Rogers Media Corporation sponsored the shirt, which can be bought through the shopping channel, but it is like
today's shopping choice. It's the same words or same letters at the beginning, but in Canada it's called Today's Shopping Choice.
Oh, Today's Shopping Choice. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't notice that when I went to buy the shirt. And that it is like the official shirt because Phyllis Webstad, like she like approved it. She worked with you. 1,000 purchases got a copy of the book, like the intermediate or the junior version of her Orange Shirt book. So that's why we're talking about Rogers, because Rogers put all this together, like you said.
Yeah, it's kind of you know, it's a soup that we're all in, and yeah.
Well, and like a big corporation like Rogers has money and connections to be able to put all these people together. And like, as you were saying at the end, that can be the real power of corporations, to be able to like put your money where your mouth is, put your like put the direction that you want that you want to be understood for as a corporation through sponsoring community-based young artists, stories that are hard, like you said. And I think it's like, because you also had an exhibit at the Rogers building in Toronto too.
Yeah, I mean, it all starts with just kind of, it can anyway, like my connection to working with them, kind of someone that works at Rogers won a door prize that happened to be my artwork. And then, you know, a meeting happened after that where they're like, can you or would you be willing to exhibit your work in our gallery space? And, you know, that wasn't for money. It was just like, I saw an opportunity to, you know, expose some more people to my work. And that's sometimes like an opportunity is just an opportunity that leads to something even better. So I think there's sometimes a misconception with like younger artists. They're like, well, I got to get paid, man. I got to get paid. It's like, maybe just take a chance. And I'm definitely one of those people that you know, can at least recognize something when it's staring me in the face that's going to be good for me later on. And it has. Like this, look, my work's in Dundas Square, which feels awesome, and it's highlighting something that you know, more Canadians need to talk about. And it's just like all around, it's been a pretty good September so far.
Well, and like you had said when you started, that you understand to use your gifts, your superpowers for like important reasons. And one of the, so when the Black Lives Matter protest started started again in June, I wrote a blog post that said, if you're not doing history to make change, what the F are you doing it for? And I said that one of the superpowers of a historian or a history teacher is the ability to read and write and pull things together. And I think that when your superpowers are artistic like yours are, it is really amazing when you put your energy towards making social change that is better for everyone, especially when it's rooted in things that are so difficult to wade through because there's just been legacy and legacy of ignoring these things.
Yeah, or like, yeah, sweeping under the rug, or like just not even acknowledging it at all. And I don't know if that was just like a time, like, let's hope it was just a time in history, and, you know, the leaders that be, let's hope we don't have any people like that again, that, you know, don't want to look history in the eyes and, you know, see their ancestors horribly treating people. Like, it's an acknowledgement. And one of the things that people in today's age really have to do, like if you're not a person of color, is to like, one of the easiest ways to be respectful is just to kind of put yourself in other people's shoes and listen to stories that are uncomfortable, that you don't know about, you know?
Yeah, and you know, something like Orange Shirt Day can seem really performative, right? Like that was a real criticism in June about some of the Black Lives Matter attempts at allyship, that they seem more performative than like long-term change. But one of the things that I really love about Orange Shirt Day is like the brightness of the orange. Like the brightness of the orange really symbolizes when you're walking down the street, when you're in your school building, when you're in your public spaces, like the importance of acknowledging this particular bit of history. And sure, it can be performative, but it can also be the start of something really, really powerful, because like I'm someone that wears a lot of color normally, but I know that a lot of people aren't like used to wearing such bright colors. So in a sense, like wearing something bright like an orange shirt really like flags, like maybe this makes you a little uncomfortable. Why are you engaging in this activism, and what is the history behind it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, not luckily, but you know, she was wearing an orange shirt the day she went to residential school, and that was taken away from her. And it's just so happens that you know, the campaign is about, you know, reclaiming your identity. And like I said earlier, that the system didn't, as much as it felt like maybe at times, I'm sure, like that it did beat her down and take away some of her, you know, self-esteem and stuff like that. But in wearing orange shirts for Orange Shirt Day, and you know, there's thousands of people, probably tens of thousands of people in Canada on September 30th that will be doing it. And I can't imagine what that must feel like for her to, like Phyllis, to, you know, be the start of something so amazing. And that is actually, you know, whether honestly it be performative or there are people that actively want to know more and you know, have educated themselves, like that must feel good, you know, just to see a slew of happy faces and in orange shirts that, you know, it's not always just my design. Not everyone in Canada is going to be wearing my design, but what's cool about it is that a lot more Indigenous people in positions like, you know, the friendship centers and stuff like in Canada, you know, they've probably done contests to get their own designs put onto shirts and put the word's just getting out there is basically, I think, what I'm trying to say. And there's
Yeah.
a lot of different artists that get in the mix too, and their shirts and designs are really awesome as well. So
yeah, and of course, like, you don't need to have like an official shirt to participate.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing too about engaging in activism when, you know, I know a lot of white people in particular, like, you know, I want to help make change, but I don't know where to start. And I think Orange Shirt Day, especially in schools, is such an important way to start. And I know so many of my teacher friends and teachers that I work with in a consulting capacity, like they really embrace something like this for their students. And you know, what's interesting now too is because some people will be doing remote schooling on September the 30th, that there can be like, just because you don't have an orange shirt doesn't mean you can't participate, right? You can do it a virtual one as well.
Yeah.
But why don't we talk about your artwork and your beautiful shirt? And I'll just again show people my chest, but you don't need to change your screen to do that. Could you talk about the artwork and what like the symbolism of the feathers and the different feathers mean for you as an artist, and why you put those together?
Sure. So in doing a shirt with Rogers and with the Orange Shirt Society, it spanned, like, their reach spans the entire country. So I needed in the design, figuring it out, like something that would kind of resonate with a lot of different Indigenous communities across Canada, and then at the end of the day also look cool, that you don't just have to wear it on the 30th. Like, you can wear it any day of the week you want, and it would be awesome if more people did that. But anyway, I'm just get a little closer here. So feathers I'm Ojibwe, but eagle feathers, or the eagle itself, in Indigenous cultures, it's revered in most of them. Maybe not in every single one in Canada, but I would say the vast majority have a soft spot in their heart for the eagle. But anyway, the story goes that he carries the prayers and the goodwill of the people up to the Creator, and so the Creator can hear all this, the things that are going on Earth. And so because he flies the highest, he carries all this stuff up to him. And then whenever you find or are given an eagle feather, it can mean that you're totally on the right track. You've done something of service to the community. You're, valued, and like I said, you're on the right track. So in, having these 11 eagle feathers, it's also acknowledging the students that went through that horrific trauma, and they're, hopefully all getting counseling and working through like I said, the trauma of that whole event. And also eagle feathers for the kids that didn't make it out, because there were thousands and thousands of children that died or were murdered, or left to starve, or tried to escape in the wintertime. And so it's to honor them as well. And 11 is a big number in a lot of different cultures, but also for Indigenous people too, because it represents the 4 directions, and then also the 7 grandfather teachings. So that's why I chose the number of them for that kind of really awesome meaning, but then also it looks pretty cool as well. And then the coloration of it, like orange, black, white, and yellow, those are colors from the medicine wheel in Ojibwe culture, Anishinaabe culture. And I kind of I wanted it to look like a sunrise, because it being an orange shirt, it's very bright, and I just kind of wanted, like, every day is a new day to try and be better, or a better version of yourself. So I thought that would, arranged in a sunrise, would be pretty beautiful.
Yeah, it is so beautiful. It is such a beautiful shirt. It's definitely one that you want to wear on days that aren't just September the 30th. But do you think that the significance of Orange Shirt Day is going to be greater this year because of what we've gone through since March, because of COVID, because of these social movements, because of a larger societal conversation about lives that matter? Like, do you think do you think it will be different this year? Do you think
I
that
think,
it'll take on a greater significance?
I think so. I think for sure. And I think through all of the things you just mentioned, which, you know, they're not positive thing, like the reason for all of this stuff is not, it's not super positive, but the positive thing we can take from it is that people's like blinders are off and they're like, what else, hopefully, like what else can I know about, like what's going on here, like at least from where I sit in the circles that I'm kind of like observing and a part of as well, like there's like a woke culture, like trying to just be better allies and just be better people in general. So I think with people not having to go to work maybe as much, especially because I think most of the countries in phase 3, you know, they are returning to work, but at a gradual pace. But so there's still time to kind of, I'm sure during the day, some people didn't work if they were at home and just kind of looked up stuff, and you know, they just have more time to process things and observe what's going on in the world, and that's thanks to COVID, I guess, like if you could say that.
Well, also it has provided an opportunity with kind of remote activities to bring people together in ways they may not have. When I spoke to Natasha Henry, who's the president of the Ontario Black History Society, at the end of May, she was like, you know, there was an international soca concert that I was able to attend, but I wouldn't have been able to attend normally because it was in the Caribbean. I'm in Canada, which makes me think to like go back to something you talked about being two-spirited, being gay, because I know that there were virtual Pride events and that you participated in a few of them in your capacity as like mentor artist. I feel like I remember. Yes.
Yeah, a little. eGale is an organization in Toronto that works to like help out in any way possible, like LGBTQ2I youth across Canada, and I do believe they do some international work as well. And they had, because of all the proms were canceled, they kind of like tried to line up some talent. So there was Queen Priyanka, she was on there, and who else was there?
Before she was queen.
But I think she knew she was, because this was in June, but you know, obviously the way the TV works. But they had her on there, myself, and a few others that are in different jobs, different capacities, but LGBT youngish people that are kind of trying to be positive role models. And so I just sort of answered questions from her, which was a lot of fun.
And you have done work with youth, like you do classes, right? And so do you want to talk a little bit about that before we kind of do a wrap up?
Sure. I've never wanted to be a teacher, but you know, as I said earlier about like an opportunity is an opportunity. And at the time, I think when I started, I was like maybe 23 or 4, and friends of mine were like, we want to know like what is your process? How do you paint? Teach us a class or something. And the best part was that I didn't really even know what my process was, but that like in trying to teach it, you sort of figure out how do you get from point A to point C. These are the steps in the middle. And so now I kind of really like it. And it's such a joy to like show someone that is not inherently artistic, that they can kind of create something that they love, and you know, they could give it to mom or whatever. But so it started with adults, and then I got kind of working with schools and with kids and stuff. And it's just a great opportunity to expose kids to like Indigenous culture in like a fun way. And I think when I remember being like a little kid too, and always kind of wanting to color my older brother's coloring books because they were just cooler than mine. And you know, the artwork that I give these kids to do, sometimes it's pages from my coloring books, and they're just so amped to like that they get to they get to paint like or draw on like a cool picture and stuff. So I mean, I've done little classes, I've done huge classes with a bunch of kids, and you get something different out of it every time. And it's a lot of energy output. I'm sure, as you know, as a teacher too, like, you want it to be good. Like, you can't just like phone it in and be half-assed, because like then what they receive, the energy that they're getting from you as an instructor is only going to be like so much. And so I don't do it often because it tires me out. But.
Yeah, I mean, it is tiring because it is using a different type of superpower, right? And
yeah.
you know, one of the things about teaching, which I can speak about better than art, although I think there's probably some, you know, parallels, that if you don't allow yourself to rest and like know when it's draining, you aren't able to access those superpowers, right? And I think that's what's so great about moments or days that help kind of remind you and spark, like, let's engage in activism, let's engage in creative forms of imagining for the future, which is something I talk about on this series a lot. And so I think that like element of being aware of the draining part of the energy demonstrates like the strength of your energy when you are like at full capacity, you know?
For sure. And, you know, as you probably know, it's like when you see in people's eyes and also like the way that they're vibing after, like that it worked and what you taught them is like sinks in and they're excited. It really makes you excited too, that, you know, you tried something new, or maybe not new, but just like, it's kind of scary going into a class every time and being like, all right, like, let's just put it out there and hopefully, you know, they pick up what I'm laying down. And when they do, it's a great feeling. Yeah.
And like that fear, for me, I think that fear as an educator reminds you of the humanity of the people in the room, and reminds you of your own humanity to co-create something that can lead to something really meaningful and transformative for the people in the room. And in doing that, you transform yourself and have meaningful experiences.
Yeah, I think that's honestly like what you just described is definitely like a feeling that I love to chase in doing educational work with, whether it be like kids, you know, teenagers, young adults. Like I've even done classes with elders before, which was fun. Yeah, it's just like, of course, I'm gonna say yes to like teaching a class somewhere. And what's been kind of really fun as well is that like I'm also an entrepreneur, so you know I'm not just doing shirts for social campaigns, but I also make shirts for people to wear it and just like enjoy and feel good in. You know, I also do mugs, but like houseware products, all things like that. But you know, in packaging an educational product to send out there, I've gotten to travel to some really cool places in Canada, and that's something that, you know, it definitely wasn't on my to-do list entrepreneurially, but is something that I look forward to when someone, you know, buys that package.
And like maybe, not to like speak for you, but like maybe also keeps you and your art grounded in a way that it's not just like, oh, it's just with money, dude, but like about making change and about using superpowers. Yeah.
Exactly, for sure. And you know, I go. It's that I'm 32 and I've kind of been at
and you just had your birthday.
I did on September 4th. Yeah. So I've been at this job for 6 years. I think I had my work anniversary in August. And each year gets easier, but then you sort of learn things about yourself as you kind of go on. And, you know, after a while of this job, there's seasons of it where like I love painting, and so I paint all the time, and then I'm like, oh, I love designing, so I design shirts and products and things, and then it's like now it's teaching mode. So it's like different seasons of this job that I just kind of learn to watch and try and figure out what season I'm in, and then act from there instead of like trying to force myself to design when it's just not happening. It's like, okay, it must be, you know, time to move on a little bit or try something else on.
Yeah, and I think that's what's really exciting about your work, because from meeting you at a small little community art fair a few years ago to having your shirts produced by Rogers, and you're gonna have puzzles soon, which I know you're excited about. as a way to like wrap up the conversation, can you tell people where they can learn more about you, buy your stuff, maybe tap into this stuff that you do for education, but also where to buy this shirt?
So patrickhunter.ca, it's a pretty easy one to find, is where you can find my little shop, but then also like there's a gallery of my artwork and stuff on there with descriptions and content about what each piece means. And then this shirt you can grab from tsc.ca/wewearorange, and that'll link you right up to one of these shirts. You can buy them for, I think, a few weeks after the 30th as well, so you can have yours for next year, and if you just want to rock it whenever you want, hit them up.
Yeah, it's so fantastic to be able to have this shirt, because I'll be wearing t-shirts a lot more at home, working from home. But to have such a beautiful t-shirt to remind us of the importance of learning about residential schools, but also the legacy of residential schools, and in settler populations, developing, like understanding that as a key element to develop relationships of reconciliation is, I think, a really important element to how we're going to think through moving forward from COVID. And so like to have the shirt is a great reminder of that.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad that, you know, that's a great thing to, thank you very much.
You're welcome very much. You're welcome very much. I'm so glad that we were able to connect for this. Thank you for finding time. Is there anything else you want to like promote? Any future work that we should know about related to this?
Off the top of my head, related to Orange Shirt Day.
Yeah.
I believe, I mean, stay tuned to Rogers for sure, because I think we're going to be doing quite a big blowout. I'm not sure if, I can't remember if I'm doing a, or they haven't asked yet, but I feel like maybe I wrote it down, but didn't quite.
Right.
I'm going to be doing an online paint class for, like, on one of their platforms maybe. Just, yeah, stay tuned. If you're in Toronto, go check out the Rogers building at Dundas Square. It has all the information about Orange Shirt Day that you want to know, and it looks really cool. And it feels good for me because my artwork is on there.
Yeah, it's amazing to see the artwork that that big.
Did you see it?
Pardon?
Did you go and see it?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
Did you get
I'll post a picture.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Thank you so much. I hope the rest of your time up in Sault Ste. Marie goes well. And I'll always kind of link to your work when it comes up. So keep doing great work.
No problem. I won't let you down.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.